Here we are. Chat, we got, and YouTube, we have ourselves a new tier list. It's the 4th official tier list. I thought there was a little bit more of that, but more importantly, the skibbity. My fault. Alright, so this tier list dropped earlier today. So you know what that means. Next Iron Man, I'm gonna do a tier list Iron Man because there has been some changes across the board for some characters, multiple spots. I guess we'll start from the bottom. There's a very glaring problem here, and that is that Simon is above any character. I don't understand what's going on here, considering that I think we should have already knew by now that Simon is in fact the worst character in the game. So, you know, there's a little correction there to be made for the 5th official tier list, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let it slide though, because they put him in E tier, you know? That's the good thing. They put Simon in E tier. The bad thing is that he's still worse than Ganondorf and Little Mac. But yeah, you got Ganondorf, Little Mac, and Simon / Richter in E tier. I mean, what is there to say? Them characters are all fucking bad. Really bad. But anyways, yeah, they're pretty bad characters. I'm not gonna really say much about them. D-, or like just D tier, you know, D+ and D-. I mean, I guess, like, you know, this bottom part of the cast, I feel like people are gonna kind of collectively agree in some kind of order that some of these characters are in fact down there. You know, if I had to say if one of the characters in that entire D category potentially has a chance to go up in the tier list, I'd probably say it's just Mewtwo. I don't think any of the other characters could go like any higher, really. You know, it might go like a few spots, but I can see Mewtwo going above a few spots. But you know, there's no real like top player using Mewtwo, obviously. But like, you know, I'm sure somebody can take him to new levels and stuff like that. Zelda could be a little bit better, but she's not like, it's still Zelda at the end of the day. Like, low-key Zelda's worth, it should probably be underneath like Marth, because like you're basically playing, when you play Zelda, you're basically playing Marth, but with limbs. So what that means is that like you are trying to space yourself with aerials and shit like that, and your down tilts and stuff, but all your moves, if somebody throws out a hitbox towards them, you're gonna get hit as Zelda. At least with Marth, even if it's a sour spot, you're still at least swinging your sword. So that helps a lot in just about every single matchup, you know? Obviously the big difference between the two is like the Phantom Knight, but the Phantom Knight is kind of it's a matchup check kind of move, you know? It's not like oh, it forces certain things like guaranteed and stuff like that. Like Zelda is like in complete control a lot, and not really, no. If you're comfortable fighting against Phantom, that move is basically a 5th taunt, you know, or a 4th taunt. But me Sword Fighter, it don't matter if somebody made a whole 2-hour video on me Sword Fighter. As you can see, it equated to nothing. Character sucks. Yeah, if we look at C tier, the biggest glaring thing is that Bowser Jr. is down there when he's clearly the best character in the game, especially when you're fighting him when he has that super duper ultimate shit on, you know what I'm saying, where he's like basically unhittable, like, you know, just impossible to combo, and he just hits you for like 95% uncontested every time, no matter. He's gonna tech every single thing like a fucking freak. But yeah, I mean, let me see, we got Piranha Plant, Kirby, Incineroar, Bowser, Link, Chrom, Jigglypuff, Lucario, B Jr., Ridley, Robin, Wii Fit, Lucas, Me Gunner, and Isabelle. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. What the fuck is Isabelle doing up there? If I were to look at this list on only just the C tier, like C+ and C-, I feel like Robin is better. I feel like Ridley is better. I feel like Banjo's better, barely. I feel like Chrom is better, and Bowser Jr. I think is better. And Lucas, at the very least. Like, Isabelle has up tilt and gimmicks. That's all she got. That's all she got, bro. Her up tilt is nice as fuck. Don't get me wrong. That is one of the best up tilts in the game. But everything else is gimmick. It is not good. You're gonna have to hard read people. Like, you're gonna catch their jumps with your forward air or all this shit. She can't run up and forward tilt you or down tilt you. It's unsafe. You know, like, her side B is just a fucking gimmick as well. Like, it's just not that great. Jab is good, but you know, the thing is, Isabelle's like running away. The problem with Jab is that outside of up tilt, she don't really got anything up close to really like fight against shit. So when you're fighting against anybody with literally more than a pinky of a hitbox, you know, it gets a little tricky with her, like, you know, to actually get some stuff like jab follow-ups or whatever the fuck she has off the jab. So I mean, this is all still like low tier, I guess. B tier is typically what people consider mid, and there's a big reason why. There's a big, long, silver-haired reason why, but we'll get to it in a minute. You know, I've been waiting for that. That's why I'm speeding up on this. But what you call it? If there's a character that I could, you know, character or characters I could see get bumped up a bit, you know, I do believe in Ridley. I think Ridley is not a bad character, or not that bad. He's not great, but you know, he got some good stuff, man. He's a sword character, bro. His down tilt broken, his forward tilt broken, his up tilt bro. He got all his tilts are sword tilts. His up air, ultra disjointed and broken. His back air, no sour spot, broken. Nair, come on, bro, broken. I'd probably put him at like somewhere in B- or something. I wouldn't be arguing any crazy spots. You know, Robin, same thing. I wouldn't really argue crazy spots. A lot of these characters are pretty underwhelming as a whole. They may have some niche matchups, but ultimately, get it? But yeah, ultimately, a lot of these characters' placements, like this is just a reminder. This is a tier list based on the people who got in the top 100, I believe, for last year's season, or like the last ranking season, or the current ranking season. So everybody had to, if I'm not mistaken, give a number towards every character from 1 to 10, and then they just, you know, averaged it out at the end. So you know, there's a lot of opinions in all of these that, you know, there's many different reasons why some people could think a character is better than others, results wise or no results. You know, they might, you know, think a character is worse even though the character has good results, you know, shit like that. You know, there's no consistent variable here. It's just people's opinions at the end of the day, so keep that in mind. So we're gonna go on to B- with the most correct opinion of the entire list, Duck Hunt. Now I'm just playing the character at the Duck Hunt. There he is, yes sir. Mid. Loki, he's even lower than mid, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody count, what number is he on? He's lower than mid. I think mid would be like right here, around here. He lower than mid, bro. He below average now. I'm telling you, man, I've been right since day one. If you look at this list, a lot of what you see here is NairoMK preaching shit for years and years and years. And now y'all seeing Unc know what he talking about. And now, if there was one character that should absolutely not be a mid-tier, if you're looking at it at this, like even if he's in the same number, if you want to give him the same spot, you could put him in A-, because ain't no way I will ever agree at any point in the remainder of this game's lifespan that Terry is considered a mid-tier. Nope. Terry is absolutely not a mid-tier character. That, I mean, we're basically arguing one spot, so it's not really the craziest thing. Like they literally could have just gone like grab him right here, put him right here, boom, that's it, right? But I don't know how they like judged what number you need to be in order to be an S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and shit like that. But I don't think he's a mid tier. I don't think, no, regardless. Low key, you can kind of like take the chunk from Terry all the way to Pac-Man or like Toon Link maybe or some shit, and like put him right where Greninja's at and like fill up the rest of A-, and people probably wouldn't bitch about like the remainder of the B tier category, you know, like Young Link, Pit, Rosalina, Ice Climbers, you know, Donkey Kong and stuff like that. Probably wouldn't look too bad, but like some of these characters do have some high highs in the meta, but I can see why they're also in these certain spots. While they do have some high highs in the meta, is most of them are from a distant past basically, and now some people don't have much character representation / results. And you know, maybe some matchups, you know, over time with DLC characters have made some characters a little bit more difficult to put any higher, you know. So you know, like Lucina definitely could go in A, but nobody really uses Lucina to really justify it, you know. There's a certain character I'm already seeing that is very, very high up compared to where they were last time. That's because somebody with that character, since the last tier list or in the last half year or so, has been making a name for himself and putting that character on the board, and we'll talk about that when we get to the A tier. But yeah, you also got like Ken, you know, you got some good reps with Ken. You got like Jazzo, you got like Andres from Spain, and even Asimo uses Ken sometimes, but he does seem to have some, you know, even though he's a little bit faster than Ryu, you know, people are okay with Ryu being a little bit slower in exchange for faster fireballs and all that shit. I guess, you know, Ken representation, not really the greatest stuff. Pac-Man just beat my Falco 46 out of 50 win streak, so I was 4 matches away from fucking winning. So if I were to change anything, I'd put Pac-Man right where Steve is at for the time being, and for like the next 20 minutes. Then I'll put him back to where he's at right now. But for the next 20 minutes, he's absolutely broken, loses no matchups, and if you lose to him, you should feel bad. You're a bad player. I do agree that DK, you know, I think DK kind of earned his spot a little bit higher up. He is better than Sephiroth, I'm gonna tell you that. We were joking about that like a couple months ago, and even recently I was like, DK better than Sephiroth, y'all. And it seems like that is a general, you know, opinion. Over here, it doesn't seem like it's too hot of a take in the current meta because Sephiroth is fucking booty butt cheeks. Even though DK has horrendous advantage or disadvantage state, he really does have a really good advantage state. He has some good buttons in there. Having a down tilt that also trips, as we saw at Kagaribi weekend, fucking Mild was getting slapped up by a whip, that meat gunner. He got that one down tilt near the ledge at 40 with rage, max rage. It tripped and he won the set like that. He legitimately won the set. Game 5, he was at 130 or some shit like that. The meat gunner got down tilted at 40 and lost the set. That's just shit that Donkey Kong could do sometimes, you know. And that's another thing. I think Byleth should be a little bit better. I don't think Rosalina Ice Climbers are worse than Byleth. You know, I think Byleth is definitely better, a better character. He's more of a normal character than those two. Those are like the puppeteer characters. You know, they doing some voodoo magic with Luma, doing some voodoo magic with that computer Ice Climber and shit like that. So I feel like for that reason, a lot of people who fight against those characters really just hate those characters right off the bat. But if you really do learn how to fight those characters, they kind of suck. And by kinda, I mean they do suck. But, you know, he doesn't go any higher, or he doesn't go that much higher in the tier list because, yeah, his speed is pretty bad. And now we're in a meta that if you nair into people's shield, they can footstool punish you. And unfortunately, a lot of the best characters in the game have a really good footstool out of shield. So, you know, that definitely hurts him a lot in that aspect. I think Sheik is another character that, you know, could definitely go up a little bit more as a whole, but the thing is, Sheik doesn't have real like representation. I don't even know what happened to Webb. I guess he just stopped playing, or like break or something like that, but he was like the leading person after Void and Mr. R stopped playing, or even like Aim, the Japanese Sheik, I think he also stopped playing too. So obviously if you got some of these like the best reps of some characters, if they just stop playing, then the results are just gonna dip. If Light stops playing Fox, even though there's like Kaninabi and Passera Man in Japan and shit like that, you know, the results are not gonna be anywhere near to Light, as at least based off recent results. So Fox as a result would just dip a notable amount, you know, and that's the only compliment I'm gonna give that fucking bot. But anyways, now if we move on to the A tier, this is probably where more hot takes potentially are gonna be. Like there's gonna be more hot takes probably. So starting off low tier or low high tier, you got Greninja, Falcon, Shulk, Falco, and Corrin. So if I had to look at that 5, I would say honestly, I think Falco is probably one of the worst characters in the fucking game because he lost to Pac-Man at 46 wins out of 50 in a 50 win streak. He is garbage. He is nowhere good. Sephiroth is better. No, I do think Falco is probably a little bit high. Like I would put, like low key, if I were just to swap 2 spots right here in this tier list, I would probably swap Terry and Falco at the very least. You know, like Falco's not that much worse, but like if Terry was in that spot in between Corrin and Shulk, and then Falco was like the top of B+, I'd be like, that's probably a little bit more accurate in my eyes, you know, something like that, you know, a couple spots less. He does have some good representation though in the meta, so I can see why, you know, I would say Falco is probably this high just because Japan, you know, the Japanese Falcos have been getting a lot of results or like some very respectable / good results for some time. I think A tier is probably like the middle of A tier. It kind of gets a little all over the place. I don't think anybody's gonna collectively agree on this order at all. they might agree with like most of the characters being in this list or in that row, but to be like in that specific order, there might be some people might be surprised that Sora is so high. I'm also a little surprised that Sora is higher than Cloud, because I feel like, you know, most of these opinions would be a lot of people's opinions based on like tournament results and stuff like that. And Sora definitely doesn't really exist outside of Kamame, who just kind of plays for fun at this point. We've seen the highs that Sora could get for sure in the past, but you know, that's kind of like a fleeting dream, you know, at the moment. I do think Sora definitely can be as high up as he is right now, or like in this current spot, but it definitely seems like, you know, it's kind of like a weird placement. Like I think Corrin could probably be in that same exact spot. Maybe even Cloud might be like a one spot higher over him or something like that, potentially. And by one spot, I mean about like 30 spots, because Cloud is in mid tier. What is he doing up there? Ryu being A tier or in the middle of A tier, I think that's deserved. You know, Asimo has definitely proven that character, even in a lot of like difficult matchups, he kind of makes that work. Obviously, that has to also do with just player skill on top of just only the character. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that Ryu is definitely better than Ken, because a lot of times they kind of put them together. So that's one thing. Like, you know, the thing about Ryu is he's a very basic character. Even though he's an FGC character, he's a basic character. He doesn't have the craziest combos, but he hits hard as fuck. So like, yeah, you can kind of run away from him, but if he hits you with a back air down smash into fireball, you take legitimately like 58% like off of that. Like from 0, you get hit by back air, down smash, fireball, or you're already at 58, like 60 something percent. You know, you're like, god damn. Now the character I was previously talking about that I think, even just looking at it, maybe I should pull up the old tier list. Can somebody pull up the old tier list in the Discord and send me it, so I could kind of compare the two real quick? Because if I'm not mistaken, Mega Man was like where the fuck Meta Knight was last time. Like, he was very, very low. He was about to be in the C category, basically, if I'm not mistaken. But Mega Man is safely chilling in the middle of the A tier right now. And honestly, I think he could probably go even higher. And that definitely has to do with like the Peebna and influence over here. That character, I've been saying for a long time, even had videos on it. Like, I think this character is underrated. Mega Man was always my number one that I said, like, yo, this character is actually really stupid, but nobody is really like cooking with him. There's something wrong with him. I don't know what it is, but no, it wasn't that anything was wrong. It's just that, yeah, you know, Peebna just had to level up a little bit as the whole. So now that he leveled up, he became one of the best players in NA, still is one of the best players in NA. And is basically taking a set off of just about everybody that he's played against, like even in like Japanese players, like, you know, he beat Akala. Actually, he might have not taken a set off Hurt. He beat Spargo, he beat Leo, he beat Light, he beat Sonics, he beat Mia before, he beat Zamba before, he beat Tweak before. He got like a win on like just about everybody that is like the forefronts of the meta and stuff like that. So that alone just puts him on the map. You're like, damn, this dude just beat everybody that there needs to be. But you sent it? Okay, I'll check it out. Let me see. I have the other tier list right here. So Mega Man was in the B- tier. He was pretty much, he was worse than Meta Knight. He was like in the 50s, bro. And now he's, what is he, like in the top 30? Probably should be higher, honestly, but yeah, he definitely seems to have gotten the largest jump, I want to say, just like looking at this. I already just took a quick glance at what's above, and I already see some things that I'm not necessarily agreeing with, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Okay, we'll talk about it when we get there. I never really been a Mii Brawler believer, honestly. The character is not bad though, for sure, but I don't think I can even like I don't think I can confidently say that Mii Brawler is better than Mega Man, Sora, Cloud, Corrin, Ryu, maybe Falco. Maybe better than Falco. Probably around where Shulk is at, you know. I think Greninja could also be, you know, a better character than Mii Brawler as well. But Mii Brawler's not bad. I guess when I say I'm not a Mii Brawler believer, I'm like, this might be a little too high, but, you know, character's definitely not bad. Peace and balance has been restored because Wolf is now better than Falco, which last time Falco was one spot higher than Wolf Falco was way too high. That character, yo, I'm telling you. I know I just finished playing Falco and I'm salty. I lost that 50 win streak so close to the end. But bro, Falco feels so ass. Like, yes, he has them up tilt combos and shit, but my God, bro. In a game like Ultimate where everybody just runs away, he really feels like a fucking slug sometimes. Where you feel like you have to just throw out a random side B to close the gap, and if they block it, you get punished. Like, character is so annoying. He does have some, you know, strong, you know, high highs though, of course. Yeah, I do think Wolf has always been better than Falco. You know, maybe early on in Ultimate he was better than Fox, but I think in current time, I think saying that Wolf is a better character than Fox is definitely more of a hot take. You know, Fox has gotten a bit better, or just, you know, his meta game has evolved way more than Wolf has. So while Wolf is kind of stagnated a little bit, Fox players have decided, wait, this one sequence that I normally got 20% can now magically be 80% if I just guess one time. And then, yeah. Mario, I think, is also in a solid spot. I feel like people underrate Mario a little bit. Like, maybe Kurama doesn't attend tournaments much and stuff like that. Or like even like Snow, like took a break and stuff like that. But Mario is, yeah. Mario is toxic, bro. That's a toxic ass character, man. Telling you, bro. Anytime I watch them Yi Smash videos and Mario just featured in 70% of them spike montages, I'm like, bro, all of these are true combos. Like, they're not even hard reads. They're not even anything. They're guaranteed, man. They're guaranteed. Like, this man can spike you in 85 different ways, man. It's so fucking broken. And you just have to hold that. You have to hold that sometimes. Yeah, Mario's a good character. He's not broken, but, you know, like, he is good. He is good. I think he's in a good spot here. A lot of people are Bayo believers. So I think people would probably be like, whoa, Bayo's down here. Bayo should be where Olimar is, or something like that, you know? I guess that's only a couple spots up, so I wouldn't like disagree necessarily. Well, I don't think Bayo's that good in my opinion, but she's not bad. She's not bad. I can say she's a high tier for sure. I just don't know if she should be going higher up in the high tier. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would, if I were looking at this list right now on the A tier, I'd put Wolf and Mega Man at least in that row. I would put Wolf and Mega Man as better than Bayonetta. Hero is definitely a character that has been, well, maybe not has been, but I remember when everyone was very confident that character was just a mid tier and that's it. Hero has definitely risen up over the ranks. Character definitely has some bullshit. There's always stuff that you have to watch out for. The buffs are really dumb, especially when like used properly. There's always a chance you might get top decked by some bullshit. You might fight somebody with a language barrier, like if you travel out to Japan, you know, like that adds more difficulty into fighting Hero. You got crits that can also just come out of thin air and cost you a potential game, you know, like, you know, shit like that. And that's talking about character attributes. We're not even talking about like the character having like normal good stuff like side B. Very, very broken. Jab is a really good, one of the really good jab. Up tilt is really good. He has an up B out of shield. You know, he got some good stuff. Roy. I would say that Roy, okay. I don't know why it took me this long to look at the A+, but, I was looking at the whole tier list this entire time, and it just occurred to me right now, 30 minutes in, that Palutena is higher than Pikachu. I don't even want to talk about Roy anymore. We'll go back to Roy. We'll go back to Roy in a second. Let me put my other headphone in real quick. Pause the music. Stare into your soul. And just calmly, gently, just ask y'all top players a very, very simple question. All I want to know is what the fuck is wrong with you? Who the fuck put Pikachu low enough that in some universe deemed Pikachu being lower than Palutena? In any meta of this game, bro, in any meta, you can give her pre-patch shit. Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe that part, I'll let it slide. But any other part of the meta, what is wrong with you? Like, bro, in the last tier list, Palutena was directly one row underneath Pikachu. Like, if Pikachu was where Aegis was, Palu would be right here. You know what it is? I know what it is. I know what it is. I know y'all love Japanese players, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to call them out. You guys are donkey dick versus Palutena. Respectfully. You know, you guys are very good at this game. Very, very talented people come out of Japan. You guys are some of the greatest in history. But something about Palutena, you see Palutena and you go, Reggie, and you just like get hit by the most basic Palu shit possible. How the fuck did Mia lose to like 75 different Palutenas? What happened? I'm gonna say that this is the Louis bag effect. Louis Money, he's been kind of farming Japanese players as of late. You know, he got like a set or two on Mia. He beat Carmelo. He beat Hurt. There's two characters in this game that like it's region dependent on how the opinion of that character is. Pikachu and Yoshi. In Japan, motherfuckers put Yoshi in like top 10, top 5. Never gonna catch me say Yoshi no damn top 5. What? Are you kidding me? Like what the hell? What do they see? An IQ too high? I don't know. But at the same time, they also don't think Pikachu is that good. Meanwhile, over here in this region in NA, it's the opposite. People think Pikachu is very good and they think Yoshi is all right, you know, or like good, but all right, not like top 5 and stuff. So yeah, so I think some of that has to do with that. You know, Japan has a lot of players in this tier list or like this top 100. So they may have more influence in terms of determining where certain characters are. And I think, because we haven't even talked about Yoshi, all happy and giddy and shit in the wrong tier list, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Don't worry, we're getting up there. But anyways, let me go back to Roy, our boy. I do think Roy should at the very least, listen. I'm not going to argue too hard about some things, but I will, if I had to rearrange some things real quick. If Pikachu stays at A+, this is how I would arrange from Roy to the rest. Pikachu, number 1. Samus, number 2. Or Roy or Samus, 2 and 3. Then maybe Wario. Then Palutena. So I'm not even gonna argue. She obviously isn't like a bad character. She's mid, but she's not a bad character. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those kind of things. But she don't got the pizzazz, the cheese, the jamon y queso that some other characters have. You know, she can dish out some shit, but overall she's gonna have to win neutral a lot more than many other characters in this game, including some of the characters around her. If I could remove somebody from a group, Pikachu should probably be where Joker's at, or like in the S tier. I think maybe some people before this past weekend might have said that Samus is a little too high. But I think people are starting to get a reminder from Yara specifically that Samus can kind of be very, very bullshit, man. Very, very bullshit. I am still, I won't lie. I would say that, I was probably one of those people. I even played Samus and Dark Samus for fun. But like, I kind of was like, oh yeah, maybe they're not like, they're still good, but maybe, maybe time has passed them a little bit, but no, I just suck. And Yara just gave us a reminder that no, actually this character kind of fucks up a lot of characters in this game due to how broken their ledge trapping is. In terms of other characters, Olimar, I think Olimar's in a respectable spot. His glory days definitely have passed him. Pre-patch Olimar was like in the top 5 and shit like that, but some nerfs have definitely affected Olimar. Still a really good character, but he has some hard matchups. But for the most part, even like some of his toughest matchups, like I don't know what people think Olimar's hardest matchup is, but I don't even think it's Steve based on like what I look at. Because whenever I see Olimar's fight Steve, they actually be holding it down, either winning or like they like barely lose. Like they put up a respectable ass fight. Honestly, I'm surprised Wario didn't like kind of dip down like a lot, because Gluto really has not had the best like year. Not even just like this year, but even like going into the end of last year. He was using Link a little bit, like he was trying to learn Link for fun. He finds Link to be the most fun character, or like his favorite character, I think, like in gaming history, I guess. Like Link is his favorite, so he wanted to make it work. But it also kind of came at the cost of like anytime he did use Wario, his Wario wasn't like sharp or as like ready to go as it normally is, I guess. So kind of had like some shaky results. So I'm kind of surprised that even with that, people still put Wario up. But I guess they know, like, you know, Wario's highs definitely, like, you know, the threat of Waft will always be a factor, even in Wario's shittiest matchup, no pun intended. Waft is still a relevant thing. It's still something that every matchup you have to worry about it. And because this game is so slow in this current meta, Warriors can actually gamble and use multiple Wafts in a game. If they know that they're gonna be in a slow-paced match, they can afford to like maybe hard read somebody, or like, you know, if they want to just get damage and stuff, maybe go for it more often, but also be able to camp until you get another one and stuff. So that's always a thing. And then, you know, you could potentially make your opponent approach you because they don't want to deal with another Waft, and play it to your advantage. So that's always good. Stop posting that emo in my chat. If I look again and I'll see that there, mods, snap them expeditiously, please and thank you. We got the top tier characters, S- and S+. We have Joker, we have Fox, we have Yoshi, we have Peach and Daisy, we have Luigi, Aegis, Diddy Kong, Kazuya, Min, Rob, Game & Watch, Snake, Sonic, Steve. All right, where do we start with this one? Where do we start with the S tier? I actually don't know what is worse to me. The fact that is Luigi in the top 10? Let me see, 3, 6, yeah, he's number 10. I don't know what's worse for me, in my personal opinion, that Luigi is so high up, that Yoshi is so high up, or the fact that Diddy Kong is higher than Pyramithra. I don't know. I just don't know. And you know, there's probably other characters like Fox I think is better than Diddy Kong too, but better than Aegis, my guy? Nah. Now we hitting some weird like even though it's a 1 spot difference, you know, so people probably have like some Aegis overrated, Aegis underrated, you know, or maybe Diddy Kong overrated, underrated, whatever, you know. But I do know that Japan is very high on Diddy Kong, so I'm not too surprised that Diddy Kong is as high. If I'm not mistaken, Diddy Kong was pretty much in the same exact spot. It's just that Aegis fell off. In the last tier list, it was Steve Sonic Snake, Game & Watch Rob, Aegis, Kazuya. So yeah, in between Min and Kazuya was Aegis, and then it was Diddy Kong, and then where Aegis was at, Min was at. Yo, if I'm being honest, yo, y'all Diddy Kongs, y'all should have been raging at the fact that the last tier list had Min underneath Diddy Kong. They do not. There's no way. Even back then, there was no way that Min was a worse character than Diddy Kong, bro. Are you kidding me? Are NA Min's that bad? Like, that y'all couldn't just really see what this character was doing? It had to take NairoMK coming over to the US to really show y'all that, wow, he's doing all this crazy shit. NairoMK's so hype. Is it hype? Is it hype if he's doing the same thing every single time to every single character? He's not doing a character specific like technique. Like he's not doing a trick that only works on Corrin. He's not doing a trick that only works on Wario. He's doing the same thing that works on everybody. But anyways, let's talk from the bottom to the top. So Joker, Fox, Yoshi. Yoshi was an S tier last time. So was Pikachu. But he seemed to have maintained his spot, I believe. In fact, he got put higher. He got higher than Fox and Joker in the last year, I guess, of results. But like, how? But who did something? Well, what Yoshi did anything that was like crazy? I feel like Yoshi's best year was like when Yoshidora first like started coming to the US or like NA and stuff like that. Like Yoshidora has had the best results in recent time. I know there's also like Mark over there in Japan who has like some highs, but he also has some lows as well. So I'm like, what made Yoshi like maintain where he was? I guess it would have to just be the Japan, like, you know, like bias here that they just really think he's a strong character. Like now that there's more Japanese players in the top 100, the odds of them ranking Yoshi higher and the average is higher. That's my guess. That's probably the only reason. Same thing for Diddy Kong being higher than Pyra and Mifra. Those two characters they think really, really highly of. So because there's more people from Japan in this top 100, their opinions will matter more. Or like you can kind of see some of these takes, Pikachu being a little bit lower, Yoshi being in the same spot, Diddy Kong being in the same spot, or like even higher than some other characters than before. I think S tier characters are like characters that start to not really play Smash that well. Like the core. Okay, actually it's a little hard. It's a little hard to say it or like to describe it. Cause like, yeah, you know, like in the end of the day, like Joker, you know, he does play Smash, you know. Fox, it's Fox. I feel like the S tier should basically be reserved for the hydrogen bomb characters, aka the characters that can afford to make so many mistakes against people and still get one hit and then just fucking steamroll them the entire game, you know. And that's probably why Luigi is in this category, because that's basically Luigi as a character. You can bully Luigi the whole time and then he grabs you or hits you like a stray forward air, falling nair into down air, you know, nair, boom, 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 you know, whatever the fuck, voodoo magic, and you're dead, you know. At the same time, it feels weird to like put him in that spot for me. I've always kind of been like a Luigi down player, even like when watching Rauru and shit like that. Like sometimes Rauru just be getting demolished and then he wins. Like, I don't know, it's just, Luigi's such a weird character. I do feel like people could probably like bait out more options against Luigi. He also has really bad airspeed and all this shit. And I feel like if you have really bad airspeed, like, I don't know, most of the characters in this game can really fuck you up if you have bad airspeed. I have to kind of give it up to Luigi at this point. Now, do I think Luigi is where he's at? No, I think Peach is better. I think Fox is better. I think Joker is better. He could, if Luigi was where Joker was, or maybe at A+ where Samus was, like just like one spot under, maybe it wouldn't look as bad. But I don't know. I can't confidently say that Peach and Daisy or Fox or Joker are worse characters than Luigi still. Now, yes, he has crazy shit, but he kind of has to rely on one game plan. But like Fox, Daisy, and Peach and Joker, they can maneuver and change their game plan to, you know, hit and run, wait and bait type of playstyle, or they can be full on aggressive and stuff like that. They can like change their gears basically to accommodate mini matchups and stuff, even some of their harder matchups and stuff to make it a little bit easier. Luigi plays Luigi. He plays the same fucking game every time. He's going to mash down B at times. He's gonna go for grabs when he's feeling confident that he'll be able to land a grab and zero to death you and all this shit, you know. So like, I don't know, it's a strong one-dimensional game plan, don't get me wrong. It's a strong one-dimensional game plan, but it's a one-dimensional game plan, you know. If I could change some spots, I would remove Yoshi, put him where maybe like Palutena is right now. I would probably put Samus or Roy in that extra spot in top tier in S-. Not in front of Fox and Joker, but I'm saying like add him up to like the bottom of S-. And I'd probably put Luigi at S- and or at the end of S- or at the top of A+. Or Pikachu. You know, I said Samus earlier. You can replace it with Pikachu because I keep forgetting Pikachu's not in the top tier. Yoshi's not bad. Yoshi definitely has some good stuff about him, but I don't know. I feel like Yoshi's missing something to truly be a top tier. I don't know what. Maybe it's like grab combos, I guess. Like, I guess he can catch somebody DIing bad and down throw up air, but like, he doesn't have a kill throw either. So like, there's no reason for you to ever hold in against anything that if you get grabbed by Yoshi and you DI away and he forward throws you, you're not gonna die to like 180, bro. Like, you're good. And then like, yeah, if you DI away, he doesn't have down throw up air and shit like that. So I guess having like a bad throw, I mean, he does have a command grab, like, you know, no neutral B and stuff that could also potentially lead to stuff. That's pretty good. But like not having like a normal like run up grab or something like that can kind of suck. But I mean, you don't need a kill throw or like a combo throw, I guess, because some characters don't really have that. Like Fox doesn't have a combo throw. I mean, he could set up a tech chase potentially off of like a down throw underneath the platform or something, but You know, that's like more niche. That's not like just guaranteed like other characters and stuff. Yoshi does have one of the best air speeds, or the best air speed. I forget if Jigglypuff is higher or if Yoshi's higher, but I'm pretty sure he has good damage output for sure. He has a shield break attack. You know, he got some good stuff for sure. Yoshi's definitely not a bad character, but I'm gonna have to gas up my own character for this. I don't think Yoshi is a better character than Palutena. Like when I have to gas up one of my mid-ass characters, that's how you know that something not right. Something not right out here. Sephiroth? Oh no, Yoshi's way better than Sephiroth. That's not even a contest. That's not even a contest. I ain't that Delulu. Sephiroth has argument to being even worse than some characters that he's above, even like Duck Hunt or some shit. Actually, you know what? Nah, Duck Hunt might be the only character. Everybody else in the C tier, he shouldn't be worse than. I think if Kazuya was replaced by Aegis, it would look a little bit better. Yo, I just realized if they replaced it, Luigi and Kazuya would be right next to each other. That's funny. Kazuya is so weird, man. He's like, I mean, y'all have heard it. Like he's Luigi 2, you know, the sequel to Luigi and shit like that. But honestly, like it is accurate, man. Like you wait for Kazuya to press buttons and you fuck him up for it. He has a pretty bad disadvantage or like very scrubby type of disadvantage where they just kind of throw shit out and pray for the most part. But at the same time, he is really stupid. He is one of the most degenerate type of play styles a character can have in Super Smash Brothers. 100%. If you want to learn, if you making a platform fighter like of your own or something like that, or like you on a different team, Kazuya is what you don't want a character archetype to be. Like 100%. That shit is nasty, bro. What do I have to say about Kazuya's strengths that hasn't been said before? It's fucking Kazuya. He can 0 to death you in legitimately 80 different ways. Bro is roided up for a reason, man. There ain't no Jun out here to calm his ass down. I said I would replace Aegis with Kazuya, or like bump her up like 2 spots. But I would also put Kazuya above Diddy Kong. I don't want to be downplaying Diddy Kong that much, but I don't think Diddy Kong should be where he's at the same time. Like Diddy Kong is good, but like I've never been sold as to why Diddy Kong is so strong. Like he definitely is up there, like high top of high tier, maybe like low top tier like character for sure. But I've never been sold entirely, you know. I never played Tweak at like, you know, his Diddy Kong. I only played him at his prime Pokemon trainer Wolf and shit like that, you know. I never played against his Diddy Kong to really know. But like, you know, I have a lot of experience versus Diddy Kong that, like, I don't know. There's things people could do better against Diddy Kong. Not that much better, but like, you know, item play, catching bananas, knowing when he's gonna do a B reverse and shit like that. Like coverage on certain spots in the air, because like if he doesn't B reverse in that spot, then he's gonna go to the ledge, so very likely he is gonna be reverse in that spot, so he's not cornered and stuff like that. Some of it is like very like set play heavy at times, but yeah, I don't know, I'm not really convinced. Banana is broken, don't get me wrong, Banana is broken, but it's not Gyro. I know people think Banana is better than Gyro, and I probably did believe Banana is better than Gyro, but I've seen enough. I have seen enough. That is the best projectile in the game. I have seen enough. That is, if a move can single-handedly beat Minecart, I've seen enough. A projectile at that, consistently, I've seen enough. There is no better projectile than Gyro. I don't care. Not even Snake's grenades. Nope. I don't think Snake's grenades are better than Rob Gyro. Absolutely not. That move is fucking crazy. And not only is that move crazy, it is for some reason a bitch to also use yourself. Like that's something people don't talk about. Like about Rob or like Rob Gyro. Yes, they talk about Gyro being good, but people don't talk about why it's so skewed at how annoying it is for you to grab the gyro versus how easy it is for Rob to grab his own gyro. And I'm talking like if you throw it towards Rob, or like it's on the ground now and Rob runs up to pick it up, he picks that shit up like it's a magnet, like guaranteed. Like, he don't run into it and get hit like everybody else does. He just runs up, or like puts it back in and starts charging it and all this shit. But other characters, they try to pick it up, they jab it, or like they get hit by it, or some shit, they've hit it away by accident. Rob, I swear to God, that shit never happens, bro. Anytime he presses a move, it's back in his hand, guaranteed. But anyways, I talked a little bit about Rob there. Let's kind of go in order. I talked about Kazuya. I kind of talked about Diddy Kong. Okay, I didn't say too much about Aegis. At this point, we're arguing very minimum spots. So it's not like, you know, if you disagree, I don't give a fuck. If you agree, cool. Aegis will never be a bad character. Aegis will never be overrated. Absolutely not. Like, truthfully, yes, you can gimp Aegis, or like, yeah, her recovery is like the weakest spot. But in scramble scenario, I think people don't talk about how annoying Aegis is in a scramble scenario. Like, I know we talk about her swinging a lot of moves, her neutral, her advantage state, but I think people don't really talk about those scramble scenarios that she almost always wins, because you always have to think about foresight as well. Or like they might like panic air dodge, panic roll, and it procced a foresight. Even though they didn't want it, they were just rolling just to roll, but then they procced that foresight, and you know what we call that? Guaranteed win neutral button. That's what it is. That's what foresight is. Guaranteed win neutral button. The only time it's not is if you proc a foresight off stage and she like falls to the blast zone or some shit like that. Yeah, that can happen, but that happens like 1 every 100 times. You know, that's on you trying to scramble with Aegis. Stop, no. Sorry that now she was over here and then I blinked my eyes and she's right here. Like, if I have a projectile, I can't shoot that projectile because she dashes in and rolls in, procs to foresight, win neutral button. So no, you're gonna have to scramble against her at some point. It's guaranteed. You cannot you have to. But yeah, Aegis, very, very good. Could see her going right next to Min Min. I'm gonna have to jump a little ahead because I was gonna say I can see every character ahead of her being better. But there's one character, there's one sneak in here. And if you arrange the word sneak, you get that character, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, you see how I did that shit, bro? Off the dome. But anyways, we got Snake at number 3 again. Listen, I know Snake is good. I know he is good. But I just don't see him being better than Game & Watch Rob Min Min. DK Min Min. Oh, are you kidding me? The shit y'all bitch about Snake grenades covering options, Min Min does that with her A buttons. She does that with her A buttons. Her forward tilt, her forward smash. She can jump like she's holding a grenade. She can jump too. She can jump away. She can do all that shit. You can't catch her arm. You have to block or you get hit or you have to go further back and then she's safe. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? Nah, I think Snake is top 10. I'm not gonna downplay Snake that bad. I just don't think he's better than the 3 that I listed. If Snake was where Min Min was, and then like everybody got pushed maybe like forward ahead a little bit, then I'd be like, all right, you know, fair game. I can see him being better than Kazuya. Maybe Aegis ahead of Snake, and then Snake, Kazuya, Diddy Kong, you know, whatever. But nah, I don't care. I don't agree that Min Min or I don't think Snake is better than those characters I just listed. Snake is good. Don't get me wrong. Snake is good. But I can confidently say, as somebody who watches a lot of tournaments, and I see Hurt just fucking people up, the way that he plays as Snake is extremely fucking good. But there are holes in there in the game plan. You know, obviously character dependent. Your character might not have the best options. Maybe your character sucks in general, or maybe against Snake in particular, you know, you gotta kind of respect it a little bit more. But in my experience, theory crafting and just watching visually, people could definitely break through those walls if they had any idea of how to truly play around the grenades, and instead of letting him have 75% of the stage. Now, that doesn't mean that Hurt shouldn't be doing as well, because I actually do think Hurt is one of the best players in the world, without a doubt. In fact, he could probably beat me. But or like not probably, very likely would beat me. But I, even right now at my watch era, I do think I can do better than many of the players that I see him fight against. And I'm talking about NA players, I'm talking about Japanese players. Maybe because I've also watched him play against Palutena players, so that's like the best reference that I can have. Like, I've seen him fight against Rafflo, I've seen him fight against Louis Money, I've seen him fight against Chase. Like, I've seen it. Like, you know, when I'm able to see my character actually play against some of these best players and stuff like that, I can pretty much picture, like, okay, I see what he's doing against these Palutenas. I kind of can see how to work around it. Why aren't they going for this and stuff like that? Like, they don't know that they can go for this, that. You know, you can counter hurt here in this moment. He kind of has to over respect Palu in this spot, this, that. You know, that just comes with the experience of fighting against Snake for so long, you know? I don't know if people will agree with this or not, but I am just gonna say that I do think that this should be the case. Every character in S plus should be in the neutral S, except Steve. I do think Steve should be in his own thing. It does look a little weird to me. Even though a lot of these characters are really fucking dumb, I do think Steve should be in his own, like, spot. Cause, like, when I look at this, I'm like, it makes it seem like, oh, like him and Game & Watch are like about the same. Even though they're only 3 characters apart, they're not the same. They're absolutely not the same. He plays his own game, 100%. He plays his own game. Game & Watch is really strong. Yes, he's really, really strong, but he does not play a fucking, like, his own specific game of mashing. A lot of characters could also thrive in mashing and stuff like that, you know? It's not uncommon. That's the name of the game. He just does it better than other characters. You know, Rob, he does the same shit, bro. He can miss a million moves and still hit you because he can mash that much. He's able to do it. Steve is able to do the same exact thing, but not only is he able to do that, he's able to literally create stuff on the stage that creates unique interactions that only happen 1 out of 1 characters in the game, or character in the game. And that's why I feel like, even though I'm not saying that Steve loses no matchups, because I do think I've watched Min versus Steve enough that I actually think Min wins that matchup. Now, commonly, no Min is going to be playing like NairoMK to really shoehorn Steve in like that, you know, and like beat his ass. But the way that matchup looks like, sometimes he actually looks like he can't do shit, you know? But like, that's probably the only character that I can really say that, like, even like Sonic, I feel like can get put in certain spots against Steve. That's like, oh, checkmate. Like, I hit him here, he has to up B over here. I put the block wall up here, now he has to air dodge after the up B. Guaranteed down smash, you're dead. Just rinse and repeat. He can like checkmate Sonic still at times, you know? I mean, he could checkmate Min too, theoretically, but like, you know, Sonic is probably the more common example because, you know, that was like a common matchup, like Sonic's versus Carmelo, Sonic's versus Aquila, and stuff like that. And, you know, Sonic's had a really good record against a lot of these Steves, but throughout time, Steve's kind of got better at that matchup, and Sonic's actually doesn't have the greatest record against Steve's in recent time. Even though it was at a local, like the pre-Genesis local, he did lose to Aquila 2 or 3-0. He's lost to Onan before. He's lost to Carmelo before. I think, did he lose to Toon? I can't remember if he lost to Toon or like went game 5 with Toon. Like, he's having some very close encounters, you know? Like, the matchup isn't just a breeze just because Sonic's whooped their ass like a year and a half ago, you know? It kind of just put them on notice to be like, all right, well, let me start like actually figuring out what I should do, because Steve, theoretically, Steve, or like, you know, Steve plays the same game plan against 95% of the cast. For the 5%, he may have to do one extra thing, and then, you know, he's back to like either being like an even matchup or just straight up winning the matchup. Yeah, he doesn't have any horrible matchups, but I do think Steve is like the clear best at the moment. I know there's some people who think Sonic is the best. It's like, I get it. I get the argument for Sonic being the best, but man, I get it, but I don't agree. You know, that's why he's number 2. I can agree with that. I haven't said anything about Sonic being overrated or Sonic being too high or anything like that this whole time. You know, I can see Sonic being number 2. He really does have a really, really good matchup spread for sure. And also not getting entirely blown out by Steve is also a plus as well, you know, above most of the cast. But he's not better than Steve. He is not better than Steve. Even though spin dash is extremely broken, like, you know, just like some of the stuff that Sonic does, you can kind of compare spin dash and minecart a little bit. Not like in terms of knockback and shit, but like it's the one move that Steve and Sonic have that they actually push in towards your character, you know? But the thing is, Steve is way scarier in that moment, you know? Like gold minecart boost, jump off, anvil, run off, back air, like shit, that is stronger than Sonic doing spin dash into anything, pretty much. Now, if there's one thing that's really broken though for Sonic is that spin dash forward air near the ledge shit. That is one of the most broken things in the game. I don't give a fuck. You play Sonic, I don't give a fuck. Your opinion does not matter. Our opinion matters. The ones that are fighting against that shit. And I'm telling you right now, that is easily one of the most bullshit fucking confirms in this game. Absolutely. Shit is broken. And even then, your alternative method of like a 50-50 is still really strong. Like you can put them in that spot, like scare them, make it look like you're gonna go for forward air, or like it's like, oh, true combo forward air, but they're like panicking, so then they air dodge, and then you side B jump, or like you jump, delay forward air, or sometimes you turn around, side B, jump back air, and then you back air them near the ledge, or like off stage at like 60 and they die sometimes. Or like you just forward air them, like really, if they're like drifting away, you catch their drift away and you forward air them. Like they're just like the level of power that Sonic has in that stuff, in that scenario is just so good. Yeah, there's a lot of 50-50s, but like the 50-50s, even when Sonic doesn't guess it, he's still in a comfortable spot. And that's what S tier realistically is about, I think. Like how many times can Min mess up in edge guard and still be okay? How many times can she mess up in neutral and it's okay? How many times can Rob mess up in neutral and be okay? How many times can Game & Watch preemptively up B and like not get punished by people? I mean, some characters can punish them. Like if you're like on point with up B punishes, you can't actually punish them. But like, you know, how many times can Game & Watch like theoretically just swing around and you're just like, oh fuck, how do I hit him? A good amount. Snake with the grenades, he can feel like that, but it's a bit different with Snake because he does blow himself up a lot too. So you should see Snake's blowing himself up with grenades as kind of a win. Even if you don't get like a combo off of it or something, theoretically it is a win. The only time it really isn't a win is if you're down by a stock and he's just blowing himself up with you. That's not good. You know, if you guys are at equal stock, sure, that's good. If he's up a stock, that's bad. That's the only time. If he's down a stock, even better for you though. Like it kind of, you know, it literally works but like that. Kazuya, how many times can Kazuya swing, play like a fucking ape, and then still win the match? You know? Diddy Kong kind of low-key, Diddy Kong can match like that, or like, you know, throw out a lot of buttons, you know, monkey flip, edge cancel, I don't know, just kind of just I said kinda. I don't think he does it to the degree that the other characters do, you know? That's where it kind of gets a little shaky. But Pyra and Mifra absolutely can fucking throw out shit in neutral and stuff and just not be punished. How many times did Leo throw out footstool down air attempts and like that shit got punished only like 3 times, bro? Even if he messed up the footstool. Or even like, you know, just doing retreating Pyra back airs and down airs and shit. Like the parry data on it is just not good enough for her to get hard punished, so she's able to do shit like that. And then obviously Mifra has foresight and scramble scenarios and all this shit and just really quick buttons. And also one thing too, hurt box shifting, that's something Diddy Kong and Pyra Mifra excel at more than anybody else in this entire category, except Joker. I guess Joker, and throw Joker in that mix as well. That adds another layer of annoyance in neutral against them because of the way that they animate when they throw out certain attacks and shit like that. And I fucking hate that, bro. Easily one of my least favorite things in Ultimate. That some of these characters that, at least back in Smash 4, if Diddy Kong were to land with like certain things, I guess maybe because there was more lag to those moves. You know, that's probably what it is. Now that I think about it, I never thought about it before. But the reason why it wasn't probably as bad to punish is because they actually had end lag and some of those certain moves that like if Pikachu did like falling forward air or back air, like he's kind of stuck there a little bit. So if you have an up B out of shield or maybe even like an up smash out of shield, you're able to hit him before he's able to act out. But in this game, they skip that shit. They all have way less end lag, so they just skip that portion of being able to actually punish some of these like very bad options that are now good options because of that mechanic, or like just like making a lot of things faster, you know? So it just adds another layer of annoyance. Obviously Pyramid were not a Smash 4, but Diddy Kong, Pikachu, shit like that, you know? Some examples of short characters that were really good, but they weren't really good because they were short characters. They were good because of the options that they had. But yeah, I think top tier. What can I say about top tier that hasn't been said? When was the last time a character from Steve to Min Min didn't win a tournament? A big tournament. Like, I'm talking like when they were in attendance, of course. Like Genesis was won by Zamba, right? Wait, no, Sonic's won Genesis. Dormigi won Level Up, and then Akala won Kagaribi. Hurt won Let's Make Big Moves. Sonic's won Port Priority. Mia won Kagaribi. Oh, actually, no. Dormigi won the last Kagaribi before this one. Mia won SmashCon. Mia won Riptide. Ikesuma was as big as Cav Clash and Let's Make Big Moves. I don't think it was as big as Let's Make Big Moves. It didn't have any of the. It didn't have Akala. It didn't have Carmelo. It didn't have Sonics. It didn't have Hurt. It didn't have Mia. It didn't have Zamba. It didn't have Dormigi. It didn't have those characters, that the other characters. So obviously the chance of another character like Dark Samus or something winning should have been basically guaranteed that there'll be a new winner when you just eliminate all those players not attending. But when those players are in attendance, especially when they're all in attendance, one of those characters always wins. One of those players / one of those characters always wins. That is the true divide in top tier, I think. So like I would honestly like put Kazuya at the very least like at S-, because these 6 are like a step above the rest right now. Thank you guys for watching the 4th official tier list. Like I said, the Sinister 6 remaining on top of the tier list. Overall, this tier list wasn't the worst tier list. Honestly, I think it's a pretty for a tier list that was made by like 100 players that had to just rank characters from like 1 to 10. I feel like honestly a lot of this kind of hit the mark. Some missed the mark a little bit for probably a lot of people, but only a little bit. I'd be surprised if somebody was like, yo, Ness was supposed to be like where Wario is, or Rob is that high up, he should be where Pit is. Like maybe like Zamba gave him like a 2 out of 10 or some shit like that. But overall, I think off of almost 150 players, out of 150 players just ranking stuff from 1 to 10 and not even communicating it with one another, honestly don't think it was a bad job. So, you know, it's not drastically different from the last tier list, but there are some big jumps, most notably Mega Man going up like 20 spots. But it is 20 spots that is definitely deserved because Peanut has been definitely showing the potential of Mega Man in the last like year or so. So the only gripe that I have is that, like I said, Sephiroth is now dog sitting Isabelle and Duck Hunt. He is 2 spots away from low tier, so I'm gonna need some Sephiroths to kind of keep him in mid so I can always shout mid when I see him. Otherwise I'm gonna have to change it up, gang. I'm gonna have to have low, like it don't hit the same, you know what I'm saying? It just don't hit the same. So Reno, Tweak, whoever else, please, and like just get some wins, man. Please just get some fucking wins, man. But yeah, and also besides that, my biggest gripe is that Simon and Richter are not the worst character. It seems that a lot of the players in the top 150 are starting to realize that he is the worst, but then there are some that are putting Little Mac and Ganondorf ahead. Therefore, I really look forward to the 5th official tier list when they correct this very big glaring issue here, that Simon should be underneath Ganondorf and Little Mac. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Deuces!